Is not going. So welcome to this hearing by Zoom of the local historic district commission. Our purpose is to aid property owners in the town in preserving and protecting the distinctive characteristics and architecture of buildings and places
With the back of it,
significant in the history of Amherst.
you can only imagine that they go if like.
Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so via Zoom or by telephone. A hyperlink to the hearing will be posted on the town's online calendar. We require one of 3 certificates to ensure that new construction and most alterations of exterior architectural features in the district meet requirements. And for today's hearing, we have, I think, 2 applications. I'll begin by taking roll call. So Steve?
Here.
Nicole?
Here.
Sorry, I couldn't turn it off.
Quite all right. Betty?
Here.
Karen?
Here.
Bruce?
Here.
And I'm here. And I'm Nancy Ratner. This hearing procedure is as follows. We'll begin with Ms. Powell, summarizing our application. And then we'll have the applicants or their representatives speak. So Walker, would you like to begin?
Just let me get the agenda open real fast.
Okay.
So the first one we have here is 18 North Prospect Street. They had constructed a fence apparently without a building permit and were asked by the building commissioner to come back after the fact to get approved. So I don't know if anybody is here in the attendees from 18 North Prospect, and if so, can you raise your hand and I will let you into the meeting. All right. I'm going to promote you as a panelist. You're going to disappear for a minute and then you'll reappear. So Andrea, it looks like you're here. Did you have anything you wanted to tell the commission about the project?
I would just say, we just put the privacy fence, but we went over to the town and, spoke to the builder, the building inspector there, and he told us like, don't remove, don't do anything, submit the application. And after we submit the application, that's when they send us to historic. And we submitted, like for approval, even though like it's just a partial scene from the street, because on the left-hand side, you cannot see the portion that we put it on because all the trees and the pine trees and everything. And on the right-hand side, you can see from the street, the neighbor's fence and just 2 of our side. But he told us to wait until decision is made and not to do anything, to remove or do anything until this is over. But
Yes, this is because you were supposed to have brought the fence design to us before putting a fence in, and I believe your contractor was told that, but put it in anyway. So can we see a picture of this fence, Walker?
Yep. Hold on. Can you see that? No. Hold on.
Yeah, you have to share your screen with
Yeah.
us.
Can you see it now?
Not yet.
Oh, I have 2 screens here and it's hard to
Oh,
get onto
Can
the
you
right
click? You have to click on the picture on the link. There you go.
All right, now you can see it.
Yeah, we can begin to see.
Okay, so
I think
let's
that
see
there are
what
more
you're
pictures
seeing.
that are
Yeah,
clear.
so there's this picture.
That shows the neighbor's fence, and this is
The
this
neighbor's
is very
fence. Yep. This picture shows that side. This picture shows the other side.
I don't think this picture does show the other side because it's a picket fence and it's right up against the neighbor's fence.
So this,
That's
there
the
you go.
right-hand
Yeah.
side.
yeah,
That's the neighbor's.
the neighbor's
fence
side,
and
and this
the
is the new fence that was put in.
correct.
Okay,
And then
And the other one, it's the left side.
this is the other side behind these trees.
okay.
Yeah, so this must be this same one, but from closer up.
No, this is the left-hand side. That's the
Mhm.
garage.
Right.
And it's just, like the street view and then close for you to see where's that part that we put it up. That from the street, you cannot see anything right there. That's from the street view.
Right. You can see it more from the other side of the house, the fence. on the-
Correct. Yeah, that one.
That one's pretty obvious. It's not really in keeping with other fences in the neighborhood. But comments from the committee?
So is the fence that we're seeing, is that the fence, that one with the little top?
No, that's
So
the neighbor's fence.
This
Neighbor's fence.
here is the neighbor's fence, and then here and
Oh, back there. Oh,
is
it's
where
like
the new fence
stock-
has been put in.
stockade fence, yeah,
Mhm.
I see,
Steve?
yeah.
You're muted, Steve. Steve, oh, there you go.
Okay, now I'm good. Okay. Was there an existing fence there that they took down and then put one up?
I don't think so.
And Ronnie, I know you're out there, and Patrick, did you guys ever consider putting up why was there a gap? Did you guys ever, I mean, your fence is so beautiful. Did you ever consider extending your fence for where this new fence is?
Walker, can you bring Ronnie and Patrick into the room, please?
Yep, they'll be here in just a minute. I
Thank you.
think.
So this is Ronnie. We didn't put a full fence only because the house was owned by somebody else at the time. And they wanted to have it be more open. They didn't want a high fence right next to their house because, that space is really narrow. So we just did it as a matter of courtesy for the neighbors at that point.
So there was no fence between your two properties before this new fence came up.
There's a metallic, very low fence. It's like 4 feet low, 4 feet high, I think, and it's about the bars are 4 or 6 inches apart. It's very light. It just sort of marks the property. It doesn't provide any privacy.
And do you object to they turned it so the flat side is facing your property, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
We do have an objection.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke to them just as it was being put up, which was on Memorial Day last year. It was a holiday and I was in the garden and I saw the guy putting it up and I said, wait, do you have a permit to do this? And I knew they needed a permit because we had just been through this long process with respect to our fence. And he called the owner and we explained that you need a permit. And he said he didn't. And we said, no, you cannot put this up. You really do need to look at it. And he said he would talk to the town. It couldn't be done at that point because it was literally Memorial Day. So it was a holiday weekend. And then the one panel that had been put up remained there. And I assumed they were working it out with the town. We didn't really get involved anymore, but sometime later, a couple more panels got put up. And then it was stopped again. I'm not sure why. And then more recently, I think as late as February, maybe even later, the rest of the fencing was put up. But we were never notified of any permit. So we don't really know anything about conversations the owner had with the town. We don't have an objection to a fence, by the way. We just would like it to be somewhat consistent with other fencing. There are 3 kinds of fence there right now covering that house. Anyway, so that's it.
So if I could just go on for a second. So Ronnie and Patrick, what would you like if you, in your ideal world for this, for us to decide?
Since the owners would like to have a fence, we think they should have a fence. The fence should be consistent with what's already there, our fence or the one in the back, which is yet another kind of fence. But this particular fence is really not appropriate, we feel.
Bruce?
But what, like, I'm
I-
sorry to interrupt it in there, but you know what she's saying, inappropriate, it's like she got 2 types of fences in there. And it's just because she doesn't like the design of the fence.
Well, since I was recognized, I'll continue talking. The abutter was asked by the commissioner, so I think an answer was reasonable. And the word appropriate is used because that is the word, that is the standard by which this commission has to judge. Is what you did appropriate or is it inappropriate? And I would, I think it's inappropriate, particularly as there was an existing fence there, and it would make sense. Appropriateness would be consistent with continuing that existing fence if there was one to be put there. And I think that's what we would have decided if this had have been brought to us in the appropriate time. As far as the fence on the other side of the property is concerned, I might be personally persuaded that that could stay. Perhaps if the posts were cut down. If you can take that, we can come back to this in a moment, Walker. If you could just go to the other side, the fence on the other side for a moment. And yes, that picture there, it's a bit hard for me to reconcile this picture with the one that came before it, but it does look as though these posts have just been put in the ground. They're at all different heights, and it looks like someone hasn't yet cut them off at probably what would be the level of the base of the V, or the zigzag top of the fence. It looks like the post should be cut level with the trough of those castellated. The posts need to be cut off, and it looks like that was probably what would be intended, but it hasn't been done. So I would at least expect that the posts would be trimmed. But it's my opinion that the fence on the other side should echo should be consistent with the style and type of fence that was there initially.
I agree with you, Bruce. Are there other comments? Ronnie?
I just wanted to say one more thing, and that is that it's really not about whether we like the fence or not, but we personally, but that there are a set of rules in town about how we build. And we value having those rules so that it's not really a matter of whether one neighbor likes another neighbor's house or fence or whatever, but rather that there is a standard that applies to everyone. We alerted this owner to the standard. We told him that what he needed to do. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for, Steve?
Well, I mean, Ronnie, I understand that and you're right, the procedure wasn't followed, and I didn't know that the owner had been informed by you that they should follow procedures and hadn't. but now that the fence is up, if they took the fence down, I know would you guys put a fence up that's consistent with what's there? Is that an option?
You mean, would Andrea put up a fence? It isn't
No, I'm
really-
asking if I'm asking Ronnie if she and Patrick would put up a fence that's more consistent, because it's a more expensive fence.
They
I'm
have a
just
fence.
asking.
They already have a fence there, though.
They have a fence, but the problem is that the new fence that abuts their fence doesn't match their fence. Isn't that the part of the issue right now, besides the procedural?
That's the secondary issue, yes.
Yes, I'm just asking, in terms of a course of action, we can slap the person the owner that didn't go the procedure and say, you don't do this again. But I'm just wondering, in terms of a actual solution, I'm just exploring that, Nancy. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I'm in, Nicole.
Sorry, it's always a delay trying to find where to get
I
my
know.
mic back on.
Yeah.
So to clarify as well, this fence that we're looking at right now next to the garage is on one side of the property, and then the other one is abutting Ronnie's property, the 24.
That's right.
So, okay, so I propose to the group, I mean, if you're not liking that this fence is two, what I understand, 3 different kinds, could the fence that's by the garage not be replaced with this same kind of fence? Like if we're wanting this to be consistent, should we be talking about the other fence on the other side of the garage separately? Because they're 2 separate fences, right?
Bruce.
I think the answer to that question is yes. My motion would be that we decline to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the fence the erected on the boundary line on the I guess it's the northern side.
Yes.
But that we accept as appropriate the existing fence that's erected on the southern side, with the condition that the posts be trimmed to the level of the top of the fence or slightly below it. And so that's the motion.
Okay.
And what that would mean is that the continuation of the fence that we're looking at would have to be taken down.
Right.
It doesn't say that it would have to be replaced, and it doesn't say if it is replaced, who replaces it. I think that's not our business necessarily, but it is our business as to whether it's appropriate. And my contention is that on this side, on the north side of the property, the fence is not appropriate. And I can be persuaded that it is on the other side, hence the structure of the motion.
But I agree with you, but it does seem to me that if we're asking to remove the fence on the north, their portion of the fence on the northern side, I would say that if it is to be replaced, it should be replaced with something that's consistent with what's already there. That it's.
So, yes, I guess that's true. Alternatively, they come back and make an application in the way in
Yes.
which it would normally be done. So we can decide whether we want to proactively permit an appropriate fence. But I think it might be more appropriate that we yield to the one on the southern side, because that's a concession on the part of this board's commission's behaviors. But it seems pretty obvious that just looking at it as we are, that this is not an appropriate addition to the neighborhood.
Karen.
I second the motion. I think that's the way we should solve it.
Is there further discussion? Are we ready to vote then?
Do you have one hand raised in the attendees if you want to take public comment?
Yes, can you bring that person in?
Yeah, I will allow them to talk. If you have a public comment, you can.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I'm the one I'm the general contractor. I should check the law with the town, but I'm near Boston. My town, I went through the process of a fancy. So from here the rule is if you do a fence in your property, as long as it stays under 7 feet, you do not need a permit. So if that permit appearance bother, because it's already two types of fences. So once you go the 16 feet on that fence is a metal fence, and if that doesn't satisfy her, she's already has the fence that she already put it in. I'll take the fence down. That's what I'm opting to do it. So it's under my property. I put the nice size of the fence face her side, so she wouldn't see the back of the fence. And but it's not the same exact fence that she did, because when she did the fence, I wasn't even the owner, and I wouldn't check. I just did that for privacy, because she had a metal fence which has like no privacy at all on my side. So that's why I put that in. On the other side, if the fence was down, I stopped one of the member was saying about not cutting the post, because I didn't finish until I checked with the town. So those fences not nailed. All I gotta do is cut them out. So yeah, she had two lengths of fence on that side, and my goes through the back, which is a regular wood fence that you see in most of the houses. It's just not the same way that she built. That's what I have a comment on. And but it is not any unusual fence that you don't see most of the place.
Steve, did you want to say something more? You're muted.
Yeah, I know, because I don't like to hear myself talk. I actually don't agree with Bruce on this. There's plenty of fences that are like that fence throughout the neighborhood. And they faced it so the flat part is facing, not facing their property. So the issue to me is, what do we do to make everybody happy and match the fence? And that's why I was trying to ask Ronnie and Patrick, if the fence came down, would they be open to putting up a fence that matches their fence?
Ronnie?
So this is not our fence. We've already gotten permits and put in the fencing that we are putting in. The 18 North Prospect has put up a new fence because they felt the need for further privacy, as the owner has just stated. We completely understand that, and they're allowed to put up whatever fence they want, provided they go through procedure as we did. So I believe that the message we want to send is that there are rules for a reason in this town, and those rules and procedures are to be followed. And the owner was alerted of the rules and procedures immediately as soon as the first panel went up. So my view is that that fence if it's not approved, has to come down, and then whatever new fence they want to put up, because it's their interest in putting up a new fence. Whatever new fence they want to put up, they just have to get a permit and do it. That's all there is to it. I don't see what this has to do with us putting up any fencing, because we have already done what we were going to do, and it went through appropriate permitting procedures. We're asking for the same thing for everyone who lives in the historic district.
Steve? Steve?
Yeah, so your objection is not to the actual, if they had gone through the procedure correctly, your objection is not to the fence that's been put up, but this is just a procedural issue. And what I have to say is that we've had other people in the past, and I don't know what the solution to this. We've had contractors put up stairs in the past and they haven't gotten permits, and then they've come to us afterwards. So I really, so this is not a new precedent. What I'm trying to get at is, I don't see what the point is of like telling them to take their fence down, then to have them come back, us to say, okay, you can put up a new fence, and then have them put up exactly what they took down. To me, if the issue is that you don't like the fence and you'd like it to match what you have, that's understandable. But I honestly can't see the point of having someone take down a fence and then put the exact same fence up.
Karen?
The point is that the historical commission gets to decide beforehand if they find that this fence right there is appropriate. And I would say that if they came to me and wanted to put up this kind of fence and ask for permission, I would say no. On this side, it's not, because we are trying to, it is a historic, I understand that many towns have rules that you can't be, it's fine if you're over, if you're under 7 feet. But in this case, these are historical houses in a historical district, and there's an existing fence there. And I think it's very jarring to have a fence that is so different. So I would not say it's appropriate if I were asked beforehand. And so if it comes down and another fence is proposed, I would judge at that time, is this in this place appropriate for the neighborhood? And then, so that's, there is a difference.
Just to bring to your attention, I'm sorry but that's already another type of fence in there. That's not constantly. It's a wood fence and a chain metal fence. And that's another fence there that we put it for privacy. Then it's already two types of fence at the same location. It's not consistent. You're not going to see consistent from the street one way or the other if you take it out or if you put it back on, because it's another type of fence from that point towards to the back. You already see a second fence or a third fence in that area there.
Yes, but the consistency we're talking about is with other houses in the neighborhood, and this is an historic district. There are neighborhoods in town that are not historic districts in which you could put up whatever fence you wanted, but that is not true for our neighborhood. Bruce?
I think that if I stand by my view, Steve, that this is not appropriate. But I guess if I were to, if this were a proposal as to installing this fence, for example, I would ask that I would condition approval on cutting the fence top so it's not this jagged, pointy, but has a horizontal top, and make the horizontal top continuation of the lower post after that fence line has died down. I mean, I think you could probably make this fence.
Yes, we can.
You could make this fence look a lot better by basically continuing the line of the top of the 24 North Prospect fence that was there before it, instead of having it pop up and then have this lightning, up and down, up and down, up and down top on it. Just ditch the top, cut it off, and cut it off level, and then I think it would be appropriate. So now we're in the business of, well, I guess we could, I could be persuaded to amend the motion to do that to that fence and then consider it appropriate. With that,
Sure.
Steve, does that sound like it would get your vote?
I'm fine with that. I just want to say, the fence that was put up, I have the same fence in my backyard. That's why I'm like, and I would say the majority of the fences in our neighborhood, historic or not, aren't as nice as the fence that Patrick and Ronnie put up. So I thought that they were coming, you know, to us to have it be consistent with their fence, and not just a procedural thing, which
Oh my
they're
God.
right. What the procedures weren't followed. But yes, Bruce, I would absolutely I'm amenable. I can look. I'm just one person. If I'm outvoted, I don't really feel that strongly. I'm just trying to point out what's, you know, to be honest about the fence is that the fence. It's not a matter of a historical fence. The fence that they're trying to match is a new fence. And I was trying to come up with what I thought would be an equitable solution and satisfactory solution to everyone. But yes, I would be amenable to having having a provision that the posts be uniform. Absolutely.
The posts there, the fence, that's the fence on the other side of the property.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't seem to be very contentious. It's the one on
Yeah.
this side of the property,
Yeah.
on the north
I
side.
think that's right. Yeah.
So if, now I don't know whether you can cut the top of the fence off consistent with the low point of the 24 North Prospect seat, because I don't know how it's structured, and there might be no support if you might be cutting off the top support by doing that, in which case you would have to lower that top support in the process. But I would, so Karen, if you're amenable to that, I would amend the motion that such that instead of saying we deny a certificate of appropriateness to this fence on the north side, that we deem that this fence appropriate on condition that the top of the fence is cut in a single straight line, consistent with the height of the post of the North Prospect property to which it abuts.
Betty,
I
Well,
would
first of all,
suggest,
is Karen willing to, is she still going to second the motion if it's amended?
Yeah, yes, I will.
Okay.
thank you.
I was going to suggest that I thought we should do it in 2 steps.
Right.
One would be to deny this particular fence. And then if the property owners think that they can retrofit it so that it does fit in nicely with it, then come show us a picture of that. Because looking at it from this angle, I don't see that it lines up, and I don't even see that they're joined together. So I don't have a lot of hope that that's actually going to be successful. So that's why I suggest 2 steps here.
Thank you.
Okay.
12 minutes.
Cadê esse telefone?
Ronnie?
No, I
Um,
should.
You know, we're asking for 2 things. The reason I'm here today is because this is totally inconsistent with the fence that we spent a lot of money to put up in order to adhere to the rules of the Historic Commission. And we do not just have one interest. It is possible, Steve, to have multiple interests. And our interest, one, of course, is in following the rules because we were made to follow every single rule. And we happen to be totally aware of the fence rule when this fence went up, right at the moment that it was going up. So we gave them every piece of information. And what you're saying, you know, we want both the rules to be followed in general because we live in this town, and we want everybody to be treated equally and fairly with regard to the historic rules. But that we also want this fence to adhere to the existing fence. We want both, and I agree with what the last speaker said, who I don't know, but I agree with what she said, that I think it ought to be in 2 phases so that we don't have to, so that it's done right the first time. The next time, sorry, thank you.
Affordable?
Yeah. Hello?
Is there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's not that I'm trying to break the rule of the town, that I need, like a neighbor get information. So some of the posts is not cut off the top because once neighbors start talking, before I proceed with the finished work, I did go in the town and I asked about a permit because like I said, I work in many towns, and I did the entire house and everything was permit for. The smallest thing that I thought it would be was putting a fence for
Privacy fence.
private fencing, which is I went by the rule of thumb, which I use whatever I put a fence, keep the nicest size to the neighbor so it wouldn't be complaint. And it's not that I'm trying to be a different member in the city or not knowing that
Not
what
follow the rules.
follow the rules of the town. It just I was just putting a basic fence, and from my experience in other job, I didn't know that I would need a permit to. Like
And
she said, I did it over the weekend because usually it's like I live in Boston and I took a bunch of a friend of mine. They'll help me put it up, which is I did many fences around here because as long as I know the rule, the post that I can cut any size because the post is already 2 feet into the ground and the firm, and I can cut and trim them off. But I agree with one of the person who said that this is the most common fence. But if someone has a preference of the fence, I don't. If she wants to put out, I don't mind take the fence down and she can put whatever she wants. But we did apply after fact, so we applied for a permit to get that fence approved, and I guess the way I can apply again and have it approved. If but it's like sounds like a slap on the hand, which we should tell them that we could talk back and forth and try to accommodate with the fence that I already have there.
Bruce?
And it's not like you see right from the street. It's like almost halfway down the property too.
Bruce?
Nicole, I'm persuaded by your what you say that we should do it in 2 steps. So I would now probably revert to my original motion because we have given some indication of what would be appropriate. But I think, Nicole, you're right. It would be hard for us to know what it was going to look like and whether it's possible. So I think it would be appropriate to have our applicant come back with a diagram of how they intend to make this fence on this side. And I think it might be respectful of the neighbors' interests as well if we were to do it in the way you suggest, Nicole. So
Bruce, I'm sorry to be asking you. I just got a question.
well,
This is Andrea.
if you don't
and I got a
mind, I
question
haven't
for
finished what
Bruce.
I was saying, and you're not allowed to interrupt or to speak unless the chairperson recognizes you, which they have not yet done. And so what I'm about to say to my second, Karen, is, Karen, I would like to revert to the original motion and do it as Nicole suggests. And then we have given the applicant some indication of what would be an acceptable fence on that side. But I think having them come to us with documentation as to what they really intend to do would be the safer and more appropriate way of proceeding. So if you're willing to revert to our original motion, then I would like to go in that direction, if that's all right with you.
Bruce, just to
Thank you,
clarify,
Nancy.
did you want to also include anything about the fence on the south side of the house?
Well, that was part of the original motion, which said
Okay.
that we regard that as we will accept that as an appropriate
With a change.
with the trimming of the posts.
Okay.
Well,
Karen, are you accepting that as a set for your second?
I do.
Okay. Andrea?
Yeah, I just got a question for Bruce, because, like he was saying, to make it cohesive with the existing fence, like to cut the pointy, and then we could just, go with like a 1x2 pressure treated to cover all the pointies, like if we cut it. And Bruce, it was something like Bruce mentioned to do it. does he want me to take the fence out, do it, take a picture of the fence out and then send to submit? Or can I do it with the fence up, send you guys a picture to see if that can get approved before taking the fence out?
Nancy, if I were to answer, I
Yeah,
would
go ahead.
say the latter. Come to us with an augmented solution that you think we might approve based on the conversation, and then we can do it. But as Nicole said, we do it deliberately and with documentation of what is actually going to be done.
Affordable? Do you still have something to say?
My question is, at this point, on the south side, which is the left hand, if you face the house, the left hand side of the house, so on that side, we'll be fine if I just lining up the top, the post with the top of the fence, correct? And those are fine.
That is the motion. Yes, it hasn't been voted yet.
Right.
But that is the motion. That is the process we're
And
considering.
On the other side of the fence, I'll have a proposal, which is I'll show you a design that I can accommodate the fence, which is I want to keep the same fence. I'll just make the same height as that, because usually when the fence point down, I drop a foot by each 8-foot section, so they accommodate the area, because the lot already drops down.
Yeah.
It's like the first one going to be at 6 feet, 5 feet, and well, by the time I get to the bottom, will be 4 feet consistent. So with the area there, and that's my proposal there. So I would start the first one within 6 feet, then I drop down to 5 feet, and a 5 and a 4 throughout the back, which is my proposal to do it. But if that's allowed, then
Well, that's the point. The motion says that you need to bring that back to us for as consideration at a separate meeting. And whether you bring it back as a photograph of the modified fence, or you bring it back as a drawing, diagram, or something of what you intend is up to you.
Okay.
Are we ready to vote on the motion?
I'll raise which motion are we voting on now?
So,
There's two different motions, right?
No,
no,
it's
I think
been
Bruce has
modified.
modified his motion. He's amended his motion. He's gone back to his original motion, which would be to level off the fence on the south side of the house so that it no longer has the picket fence approach. And on the right-hand side of the house, to remove that fence and return to us with a different plan.
Well, I didn't say to remove it. I just simply say that we deem that inappropriate.
Oh, sorry.
And then they have to come back with a proposal that we will give additional consideration to, with the view to approving something as being appropriate. But
Yeah.
and we should put within 3 months or something of that.
Yeah,
so
I think
this doesn't go on forever.
the thing is that this was done without any pre-approval, so that is one of the reasons why I wonder if it shouldn't be removed. But Karen, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I think what you said, Nancy, on the south side, that the tips be removed, that wasn't what Bruce said. He just said that the posts should be leveled, and I believe Affordable agreed with that. So it's not that you cut off the tops of that on the south. It can stay as it is. It's just the posts. Maybe Bruce, you should just reformulate the proposal and the one that I seconded.
I think that's a good idea.
You want me to restate the motion?
Yeah, just so that we all know what we're voting on.
Okay.
Can I'm sorry, Bruce, I don't want to
Yes, Steve, go ahead.
Could we make it two different motions? Could we
Yeah,
deal
I
with
think
the
that
one
makes
side of the
sense.
fence that everyone agrees on and then get back to the other thing? Because I have to
Okay.
say, I have a philosophical problem with the mismatch fence and setting a precedent. I don't feel that, you know, it's so funny. This is like one of the most minor things we've ever dealt with. And in some ways we've had the most, it's been the most contentious. But could
Well,
we
it's because-
divide it into two different motions?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
well, let's withdraw the motion as it currently stands. Move to grant a certificate of appropriateness to the fence on the south side on the condition that the posts be trimmed down to the level of the top of the fence.
And Karen, you've seconded that.
I second.
Can we move to a vote now? Steve?
I said, oh, Karen, yes, let's vote.
Okay. Karen?
I,
Steve?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Betty?
Aye.
Nicole?
Yes.
And I approve also. All right, so we have the first motion has been passed. And now, Bruce, did you want to make a second motion?
Yes, move that we decline to issue a certificate of appropriateness to the fence mistakenly or inappropriately erected on the north side. Sorry, yes, on the north side.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Can we, Ronnie, did you have something you wanted to say before we vote?
Não, velho. Porque
I wanted clarification
você
about
nem
what
foi pra
that
aula de minha
means.
pré casa de balé, não. Que eu te deixo em casa.
Excuse me, I've called on
Okay.
Ronnie Parker.
I wanted to clarify what it means to say that the certification is declined. I'm not even sure those were the right words, but does that mean the fence has to come down or the fence stays up until a new fence can be proposed?
I think, Bruce, would you like to clarify your motion?
And shall be removed within 3 months. That gives the applicant time to come back with a proposal on how to modify it to our in a way that's acceptable to this commission.
Steve?
Yeah, is it my turn or?
Yes, yes,
Oh.
go ahead.
Yeah, you know, I have no problem with like not giving a certificate of appropriateness for the existing fence that's mismatched. But I do have a philosophical problem because the kind of fence they put up is very common in our neighborhood. Like I said, I have it in my yard. And so to me, the secondary issue is, do we have the authority to say that a neighbor has to match a more expensive fence, you know, to match a more expensive fence? To me, what would have been logical is for the two sides to get, if they had an objection, you know, to the design of the fence, which it seems like that they do now, it would have been nice if they had worked it out and talked about, you know, matching the fence. But I still have a problem with dictating, you know, dictating a design which isn't particularly historic. So I'm not being very articulate, but anyway, I'm done.
Karen?
Steve, I don't think we're dictating a design. We're saying that we want something to be considered appropriate. And there's all sorts of ways of making those existing fences look more appropriate than the way it's been done. And we just want that thought to be given and us to be told.
Yeah, I guess, Bruce, I'm not really clear. If the fence that kind of fence that they put up, if it was not abutting another design of a fence, would you have a problem with the design of the fence that they put up? Is it the fact that it's mismatched that makes it inappropriate? That's what I'm asking you.
I think it is.
Yeah. I just have a
But it doesn't mean that it
Mhm.
has to, the fence that continues has to be an identical in design and expense. It has to be
Okay.
respectful of it, and that's the point of the district. There was no respectful process or design, as far as we can tell here, and we are asking the applicant to give that some deliberation to how they can make a consistent addition or extension of that fence that's appropriate. And we don't have to, I think, spend any more time figuring out what the solution to that would be, because that's the subject of a subsequent
I
hearing.
agree with you. Okay, okay.
Karen?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. If Ronnie's fence hadn't been there, then I think we would not vote that it's inappropriate. We did it on the other side and it wouldn't be such a jarring mismatch. It's the fact that it's such a jarring mismatch and that there should be a way for, if you're putting up a fence and one exists, to blend in and accommodate the neighborhood. And that's really the whole thing. And I do think that they should have the time to explore whether it isn't just feasible to cut it off and have it be not such a jar, and especially from this view, you see it just is jarring. And if you cut it off, it won't be jarring. So perhaps they can do that and it won't be such an expense, which we don't want them to have.
Walker?
I just wanted to say that there's another question in the audience.
Do you want to bring that person in?
Yeah. Hilda, if you want to ask your question now.
Yeah, I'm just curious, if they applied for a building permit in town hall, why weren't they required to get a zoning board approval, a special permit for the fence? I'm just asking if that's a step they have to go through, because we've done it before and I'm a little confused why it hasn't been done here.
I don't believe special permits are usually required for fences.
Well, I don't know. I've looked at a lot of fences in the past that had to be like 4 feet at the street and then they could be higher. But if they're on the lot line or they're 4 feet from the lot line, there is a rule to that effect. And I'm not remember the words, but I could look it up.
I can say that they are currently also in the process of getting a building permit. So the building department is reviewing this permit at the same time as
Okay.
the local historic district.
So they haven't gotten through.
They have not received a building permit yet either.
Yeah, okay. Well, then they may end up having to get a special permit.
Bruce?
Oh, I'm
Okay, Karen?
Oh, me too. Sorry.
Andrea,
Yes, I'm here.
did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we're ready then to take a vote. I'll start with you, Bruce.
an aye.
Karen?
I
Steve?
Aye.
Betty?
Aye.
Nicole?
Yes.
And I agree also. So we are denying the certificate of appropriateness, and you can bring this back to us when you're ready, but you have 3 months in which to do so.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another question before us. Walker, do you want to present the 220 Main Street?
Yes, so this is the Emily Dickinson house. They're doing work there on the carriage house. And they're proposing to redo the existing signs and put in one new sign. And the building commissioner told them that they needed to come get approval for the new sign, which was shown on the site plan that I distributed. And I can pull that up if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Okay, is that showing up?
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so that's the design of the sign. And then this is the site plan showing that it's going to be the applicant might have to remind me because there was some confusion as to whether it was this one up here or this one down here that was getting replaced.
Is the applicant here?
Yes, okay. Let me
Jane.
bring them in.
Yes. Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
McCormick, would you like to present your case?
Hello, yes, Gunnar McCormack, Agnoli Sign Company. So there were 3 signs that were already approved. I believe that number, there were a couple of different iterations on the site plan you see right here. It's number 3
Up by the building.
up by the building that was not on the original site plan, and that's the one that we're coming to you for.
Okay.
That's the new carriage house. Yeah, that was, it was originally number 3. That's the one at the bottom of the drive.
So if they catch up.
I know we had submitted a new one that has, that had number 3.
I received the new site plan, which is this, with the number 3 up here. I don't think I received a new sign roof. I don't know if the one up by the house matches this or if there's a different design.
The one up by the carriage house, number 3, is slightly smaller. It's a 3x4 sign as opposed to this one, which is a 3x55 inch.
Okay. That's something, the only way you do it,
I'm sure that was. I thought that it had been uploaded.
But the thing is that long as the gutters and drain properly, you got a good picture with the house.
Karen?
Nancy, can you ask them to mute their
Conversation.
Oh,
Yeah,
interferes?
thank you. Okay, are there questions from the commission about this sign? Or about the placement of the sign?
It seems, I was thinking that this was about as perfunctory as it gets for our deliberations and so forth, but it seems that we don't have the right sign. So the question, I guess, is can we make a determination on the basis of the of not being shown what we're supposed to be deliberating on?
So is the sign any different other than being 7 inches difference in size?
Gunnar?
Gunnar?
Sorry.
Thanks.
You would think we would know how Zoom works by this time. It's essentially the same thing, slightly different graphics. I was trying to find it. Well, it's probably too late at this point to try to get it to you, but it's the same design, except it's not going to be 90 inches tall. It is.
Walker, I think you could receive an email in a minute or two, couldn't you?
Yeah, or
Yeah, if
you can share your screen, Gunnar, if you have it.
That's another way of doing it.
Yep. Yes, Zoom. Let me see.
Nancy, maybe take Jane while Gunnar's sorting these
Yeah,
out.
Jane Wald.
Yes, hi. I have the correct sign pulled up on my screen, and if I'm able to share screen, I could show it to you right away.
Okay, Walker, can you make it possible for?
you should be able to share.
Okay. Oh, it's not quite as long vertically. It has a little bit more text to orient visitors who are walking up, who are
Mhm.
standing in front of the carriage house.
Yes, because the sign 4 is down at the road, and you're not going to be asking people to stand and deliberate down there as much. So this is a sign to be viewed from much closer, I guess. It seems to be as we expected. This is I mean, from my point of view, it seems to be quite appropriate.
Would you like to move to?
Yes,
accept-
I'll do that. I'll move that we grant a certificate of appropriateness to the proposed sign number 3 to be located in front of the
New carriage house.
the new carriage house
Do
at
it-
the Emily Dixon Museum.
Would someone like to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Is there more discussion? Jane, did you have more to say?
No, thank you.
Let's move to a vote then. Betty,
Aye.
Nicole,
Yes.
Karen,
I,
Steve,
Aye.
Bruce?
Yep.
And I agree also. All right, you have your certificate of appropriateness. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry you had to listen to all of the previous conversation to get to this, but
That was fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
And I will make sure that we upload, I would make sure that the correct sign is up there.
Yeah, put the correct sign in front of the carriage house.
That is also a key component of all of this, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So that's the end of this portion of the public hearing, and now we're ready for the public meeting. An update on the East Amherst study surveys. So I think this is for you, Walker.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say that the surveys went out. I have received some back. I've got a pile here that came back in the mail, and I've had some online as well. So people are responding, and I will be compiling the results the week before the public hearing, which I believe we had for June 9th.
Do you sense that there's any concern about the plan?
So
I'll have to look yet.
I'd say it's been pretty evenly distributed between people who are in support and people who are not. And that some of the comments I've gotten have been things like how many people really do live in their houses there, and how many of the places are owned by people who do not live there and live in town. And that's one of the issues with this area. So
Right, and
something to consider.
Right, and you did send us a map that laid
Yes,
out.
yeah, I was curious, so I thought I'd map it up real fast.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, first, Walker, can you send me a copy of I have a copy of the letter, but it's not dated. Can you send the committee a copy of the letter that went out? Because at some point for the study report, I have to write an account of the procedure. Secondly, we knew that there's going to be a lot of pushback because most of these houses are rented, are not owner occupied. And we gave up our attempt to do the downtown because of owner resistance. And part of the reason in my part that we gave it up was because the buildings were old, but they weren't particularly, you could say they weren't particularly historic. But this section of town is like the most historic section of town. So I think it's a battle worth fighting.
All right, that's all I had on that one.
Okay.
Just to
then
keep
would you like
everybody
to move
posted.
to the update on design guideline process next.
Yep. I don't have much on this one either. I've started a draft based pretty heavily on a couple of the other towns that I found that I thought had a pretty clear sort of overview of how they did it. And I'm happy to send out the partial draft that I have if I think Nancy and I think Greta was the other person who had said she might be interested. I'm actually going to be on vacation for 2 weeks this month, so I'm probably not going to get back to this till June. But if you want to see my partial draft and start thinking about
Sure.
Next
Send
steps,
it.
that would be fine. Yeah.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
We'll deal with it afterwards.
Yeah.
We need an approval of the minutes. Thank you again for writing those minutes.
Yep.
Very helpful.
Oh,
and
yes, so moved. That was great. We haven't had minute. I don't know, maybe we did and we never saw them, but
They're great minutes.
they're
yes,
very
very
good.
well done, Walker.
Thank you.
Very.
Steve, did you have something? to
I'm sorry to keep raising my hand today. I just want to confirm that we're doing that hearing on East Amherst LHD at our next meeting on June 9th. That's correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I need a second on approving the minutes. I'll put a second in for that. And let's take a vote. Betty?
Aye.
Nicole?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I approve them also. Unanticipated items within the past 48 hours?
So technically wasn't the last 48 hours, but I didn't put it on the agenda. I just want to say another application came in that's going to need to be reviewed. I'll put it on the June 9th agenda for, I forget what they're doing, but you'll get the information.
Okay. Public comment? Do we have any further comment from the public?
You don't see any?
Seems not.
Okay. So our next meeting date, it says May 26th. Is that going to work for people?
That's not necessary, I think, with the June 9th meeting.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
well,
won't be
that-
here, so.
Then we are definitely not meeting. Okay, so our next meeting will be June 9th. And I think we had already confirmed that, and that will be a so you will be publicizing that meeting?
Yes.
Nancy, can I say that I will not be attending that meeting? I've got a memorial service for a friend who died some time ago, which is away in the eastern part of the state, so I won't be back.
Boy, I'd really like to have Bruce be at that meeting since he's our resident expert.
Yes. The meeting is at 6:30, Bruce. Does that still make it impossible? We set a later meeting because we want the public to be there. We could make it even a bit later if that would make it easier for you to get.
No, well,
I don't want to force you to leave a memorial service early, though.
yes, it's going to be 2 hours of driving, and it starts at 3 p.m. No, I'm not going to be available that evening, I think.
It's okay. Chris Skelly will, he says he can make the meeting, so I guess we'll be covered by him. It would have been nice to.
He's infinitely more useful.
Well, not infinitely more useful. Bruce, you're very useful.
Well, infinite is one of those terms that can be, well, whatever.
I think we're all set then, and we can adjourn if I have a motion to do so. That's usually Bruce's job.
Well, Steve grinned and nodded his head, so I'll second Steve's grin and nod.
I'm always happy to end a meeting. I love to end a meeting.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you all. Goodbye.
Walker, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great night.
See y'all later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.